No other market research podcast earned recognition both in 2019 and once again in 2020 in being named one of the best in the marketing research field. And we're proud to be that one podcast, Research Business Daily Report. We have the added distinction as being known as the industry's only daily research video blog. Enjoy today's RBDR and any other that you have watched previously or plan to do so in the future. And then we hope you'll lend your support for our Research News video series. In fact, you can see on the screen to my left right now where you can go if you'd like to become a supporter of RBDR, and we hope that you will stick around with us to the end of today's report. I'm Bob Lederer, now in my 26th year as the respected voice in market research. We've got more today as far as perceptions collected by John Last and his sports and leisure group researchers back to Normal Barometer Study, which began last April. He launched it then as a continuous forward-looking consumer pulsing effort with the intention of informing company decision-making with a deeper than normal look at what could be required to get people back to what amounts to a post-COVID normal. Yesterday, John told us about the businesses and their decision-making concerning a return to full-time central office activity. Today, John begins with his view of respondents' willingness to participate in research as vaccinations spread and the threat of COVID wanes. John?
It's kind of worked in a couple of different ways, one positive and one not so positive. On the positive side, there certainly has been this recognition that this has been a pretty unprecedented event in people's lives that have spawned a desire to share perspectives, to be re-engaged not only in activities, but in terms of espousing one's perspective. And that has certainly manifested itself in some pretty good response rates that we continue to see in our day-to-day work as people get back out and do things. The flip side of it, of course, is I think it was pretty safe to assume that when a variety of activities were excluded or were prohibited, there was more of an availability, if you will, for people to participate in research, and couple that obviously with the proliferation of digital and video-enabled qualitative work. That's a lot simpler of a commitment than what people were used to doing by going to central location facilities. Now, as we see this real surge, and we've tracked it in terms of people going back out to activities, there's almost this compensatory resumption of pent-up demand that may place participation in studies a little bit lower on the hierarchy. But again, interestingly enough, from our vantage point, we haven't really seen a big drop-off yet. And I think some of that is attributable particularly to the verticals that we specialize in, which are sports and travel and media aspects where people have really been clamoring to get back out there and to share their perspectives of what the experience needs to be to rekindle what they have lost or not participated in such an extent over the last 15 months. I'm not one to suggest that the central location is gone. We all know as qualitative researchers the advantages of body language and the focus that you, even as a researcher and a respondent, have when you're in that environment is so vastly different than perhaps sitting with other distractions when you're doing a virtual qualitative project. But at the same time, I think it's also made that process more accessible and attainable, particularly to organizations that didn't necessarily want to invest the time and dollars that face-to-face would provide. So the net from a full service provider's perspective is that now you have additional tools in the kit that really open up the process to people in ways that they never didn't necessarily have the opportunity to engage in them in the past. Given the nature of some of the pivots that we made as a company, we adapted. We did not really struggle in finding people that were qualified and insightful for the types of work that we were doing. But I think particularly given the fact that we are seeing more engagement, people are going to have a greater recency to reflect upon, and that's going to make them more active participants in the type of research that we're doing. I think the other piece of it that really goes without saying is that when we think about how companies and brands and experiences are looking to position themselves as they become more open and more accessible, it's going to be really important to get the message right. And there's a variety of messages that will have different resonance for different people. Are we talking about just seizing upon pent-up demand with, hey, let's get back out there and enjoy what we haven't done, balanced with we're doing the right things to keep you safe and cautious and create a situation where you as the customer maintain control, which has also been a very prevalent message that a number of brands have really had to articulate during the pandemic. So it's going to be important to make sure that the clients of research understand for which customer segments which of these messages or combination of these messages is more appropriate. And that's going to lead itself, I think, to a good amount of additional research, not only for us, but for others in the industry.
Are you finding at all that people are tired of Zoom? Forget about that they want to get out and talk face to face. Are they just tired of Zoom?
So we asked that very specifically in our Back to Normal Barometer over the last couple of months. And it is very much a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it has been a great savior for a lot of other activities that couldn't be done, both in the research space and elsewhere. But we have also seen very strong evidence of Zoom fatigue. People tired of it, people wanting to get out there. I think, one of the more poignant examples was I recently attended a large gathering, not a huge gathering, but a fairly large gathering from a client where a number of their top executives and stakeholders were getting together for the first time. And it was such a liberating experience for all of them. I mean, people commented on it's so nice to see everybody smiling and together. And I even got a comment from somebody who I'd grown to know through Zoom and had never actually met face to face, who was remarking, "John, I never realized you were so tall." That wraps up today's Research Business Daily Report. We're always thankful for the views of any RBDR video, and each day we bring to RBDR viewers a reason to watch us with a news item, an insight, or a commentary just not found anywhere else. After digesting today's video, and as you absorb other RBDR reports, we hope you will appreciate what we're doing sufficiently to consider becoming a Patreon supporter of RBDR, which you can do by visiting RBDR's exclusive crowdfunding platform at patreon.com/RBDR. We hope that you have a good research day and that you'll join us again tomorrow. And until then, please stay safe.